Ironhawk Financial Studios right here. Joseph Lombard-Hay, managing partner. Give him a call today at 203-815-3673. He'll handle all your financial needs. Give him a ring today. He'll tell you exactly what the government's stealing out of your pocket and put it back into your pocket today. Call Ironhawk Financial. And welcome. Here we are. We're going to get right into it because I don't want to take much of this man's time. Clay Clark, the ReAwaken Tour. I had the pleasure not only to be talking to Clay over the last couple of years. You invited us out to one of the events down in Miami recently, and we had a great time. Clay Clark, how are you doing?
Brother, I tell you what, we're going 90 miles an hour trying to save this country, and I appreciate you, Kevin, and your entire team for unapologetically sharing the truth. I know we're on Facebook today, so I'll try to be Facebook friendly while sharing the truth.
Don't upset Zuck. If you make Zuck mad, we might get taken out at the knees there, Clay.
Sounds great.
So, listen, it's been a while, but the news keeps trending. And actually, I was just talking to somebody recently. You've been bringing up all these issues since I met you and before that, right? And so the financial situation, even Israel, you've been talking about this stuff almost like, Nostradamus of prediction. I want to get caught up with you. We have crazy in the world all over. Let's jump right into financial first, because I know that's your wheelhouse in many ways. And we'll get into the other issues. Talk about what's going on with this one world currency and digital.
And I'm going to be doing an interview today with Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And so everybody out there knows I'm not making this up. This is what I do to books. So this is Robert Kiyosaki's, one of his books. Okay. So this is a Rich Dad Guide to Investing, and then Robert Kiyosaki, obviously the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is a book called The Collapse of the Dollar. And you can see well-read, many notes in here. I say that to say I've been following the collapse of the dollar for a long time. And it was what initially got me thinking about that was I had a person in my life who owned a bank. And I built a company called DJConnection.com. I don't own the company anymore. I haven't owned it for over 10 years. But I had built DJConnection.com, and we did entertainment for weddings and that sort of thing. And I was talking to the buddy of mine who owned the bank. And I said, hey, if you or me, I'm starting to make about $150 per show, and we're doing about 4,000 shows a year. So what should I be doing with the money? And he says, I would recommend you take a quarter of your cash and you buy precious metals. You buy gold and silver, and then you take a quarter of your money and buy real estate from emotional people. And I thought to myself, the real estate thing makes sense, but the gold and silver thing didn't make sense. And he explained to me how the dollar would eventually collapse and how since 1971, America's been off the gold standard. In 1971, Richard Nixon, per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger, took America off the gold standard. And in 1971, per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger, this guy, Klaus Schwab, started the World Economic Forum. And so this has been a plan. The United States has been tethered to what's been called a fiat currency propped up by a petrodollar since the early 1970s, again, per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger. So the way it works is that America, the only reason our dollar has any value.
Can I cut you off? Not cut you off, but ask a question, because I think from the audience's point of view. So you're telling me this whole crypto concept actually was before we even had the internet and all these other things that were actually being used by the normal public today? Is that your comments?
The crypto, I would have to say
that concept of digital currency was being built out then, is my question.
Yes.
Under Nixon. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And so the idea was to introduce to eventually get us to a place as America where we would the power shift would occur. There would be a new world order. So America's been the world reserve currency, since World War II. Okay, and so we're tethered now to the Saudi Arabians, or we were, to what's called a petrodollar. And so the way that worked, Kevin, is we said we would protect Saudi Arabia militarily as long as Saudi Arabia agreed to export oil and price that oil in U.S. dollars. And that's how it worked. It was called the petrodollar. And that's the relationship we had. Well, guess what? For the last 16 years, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, there's BRICS. It's called the BRICS 11. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. They've been hoarding the earth's gold. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. There's 11 countries in preparation to introduce, and it's a lot of kind of mumbo jumbo, but here we go, to introduce a gold-backed, programmable central bank digital currency, a gold-backed programmable central bank digital currency based in Shanghai, China. It'll be controlled by the New Development Bank. And they've worked out all the kinks in China right now. This is the social credit score. So it'd be changing the definition of money. So like on today's show, there's certain words I won't use because I don't want you to get removed off of Facebook, right? So the way it would work is that every citizen would self-censor because they don't want to have their money turned off. So you wouldn't even want to have someone over to your house if they were on the other team. Meaning, like if they were somebody who was an outspoken patriot, you wouldn't want to have them over to your house if you were somebody who was left of center or pro-Democrat or pro-socialist, because your money could be turned off by just being in their physical presence of these people. And that's what this whole agenda has been about. And I'll just say this vaguely so we don't get kicked off Facebook. The plan is if they put it under the skin, they win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the plan.
And so you say that. Now, what does that mean so the average person understands? If they put it under skin, they win.
So what'll happen is, and you noticed this, but with the lockdowns, all of a sudden the only way to stop the lockdowns was to do crazy amounts of spending, or you might call this quantitative easing. Anyway, long story short, the government's printing trillions of dollars, and they're pumping it into the system to save the economy from this terrible, terrible lockdown situation. Well, as they did that, they were intentionally de-dollarizing. So Joe Biden was the keynote speaker at the World Economic Forum in 2016. So in 2016, Joe Biden was the keynote speaker at the World Economic Forum, where he spoke on this concept of mastering the fourth industrial revolution and or the Great Reset. So this guy, Joe Biden, spoke at this guy's conference, the World Economic Forum in 2016. And the fourth industrial revolution, aka the Great Reset, has three main components. They will destroy your health, they will destroy your wealth, and they will make it impossible to share the truth.
And when that happens at the end of the day, what are we going to look like in this country, this world, when they complete this?
Well, orange juice is $6 now, right? Wasn't it like $2 under Trump? Now it's $6. The cost of gas, the cost of plywood, these things have gone up. We all know this. But what will happen is, and this just started last Monday, I believe, but Bricks, look it up, folks, Bricks Pay, they began to roll out their new payment system that no longer uses the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. So now Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, etc., they're all now conducting transactions not using the U.S. dollar. So what's going to happen is in America, we import everything. And the only thing we export is our currency, right? So we import fruits, vegetables, clothes, hats, shirts, ties, apparel, shoes, lumber, etc. And we export only primarily the U.S. dollar. So what's going to happen is our dollar will no longer be viewed as a relevant source of payment for the world because they will have a gold-backed programmable central bank digital currency. So it would be worse than inflation. It would be meaning our money has no value at all. Now, let me give you an example. This is a red marker. I love red markers. I really have a passion for them. And I always carry a to-do list. When I get something done on my to-do list, I cross it off with my red marker. This is my red marker. This is my secret, my Expo marker. Okay. This right here, this is my super pen. I've been using these for years. This is my Sharpie pen here. I use these. And these are my tools. Okay. So throughout the day, I use these. Now, if somebody was in their time of need and they said, I am hungry. Please get me something to eat. And I go, you want an Expo marker? They would go, no, this has no value to me. I'm hungry. Why are you offering me an Expo marker? I'm like, what about my super pen? What I'm saying is it would have no value to you if you were hungry. That's how our currency would be. So as America is essentially starved out or canceled out or pushed out or ostracized out of the world economy, we will find ourselves with a country where most of citizens in the United States don't know how to farm, don't know how to fish, don't know how to hunt, don't know how to build anything, and we are going to be unable to feed ourselves. So we'll need to then say, well, what do we need to do to be able to buy from you? And these countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they're going to say, well, if you put it under your skin, that's what you need to do. And you say, put what under my skin? If you look it up, folks, in Google, just type in MIT Quantum Dot. MIT Quantum Dot is it's a technology that stores your medical and financial records under your skin. MIT Quantum Dot. If you don't believe me, look up Quant.network. That's the technology being used to run the CBDCs. It's called Quant.
Who started this part of like putting it under your skin kind of thing?
Well, I don't want to speak in ignorance. All I can say is that Henry Kissinger has been a large key point of this new world order. And the day that President Donald J. Trump was inaugurated, Henry Kissinger, Xi from China, and Klaus Schwab actually hosted a World Economic Forum event where they announced the beginning of the new world order on the very day that Trump was elected. So those are three people. The system and method for testing for the thing I'm not going to mention on Facebook, but if we were all told to get tested to see if we had the thing, and the system and method for testing for the thing was patented in 2015. the Richard Rothschild. So, I mean, it was
same names. The same names.
Yeah,
it's all the same people.
So that's where we're at now. If you open your Bible to Revelation chapter 16, and a lot of people, I found this to be true this year. A lot of people don't want to read the Bible or talk about God because these pastors are so fake. So many fake, and I've met a lot of them this year. I mean, the last 3 years. I've met so many fake pastors. You know, the Maserati driving pastor who's figured out the financial equation that if you donate to him, aka sowing a seed to God, and then he drives a Maserati, you'll somehow be blessed. You know, that whole thing. And most people with a sound mind reject that idea. That's called the prosperity gospel. But Revelation chapter 16, verse 12 through 14, which is in the Bible, it says here, "And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, that the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared." And I'm reading, "And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they have the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth, and to the whole world, and to gather them until the great battle of that great day of God Almighty." What I'm saying is the Euphrates River dried up. Check. And when the Euphrates River dried up, guess who teamed up? China and Russia teamed up. When the Euphrates River dried up, China and Russia teamed up, the kings of the east. And guess who showed up? Yuval Noah Harari, the false prophet, you know, the guy who wants to rebuild the temple, the guy who says that the thing will result in surveillance under the skin, you know, the guy who describes humans as hackable animals, you know, the guy who wants to rewrite the Bible using AI, the top advisor for Klaus Schwab, praised by Obama, Zuckerberg, Gates, MIT, Stanford, Harvard. He showed up when? He showed up when the Euphrates River dried up. So it's all happening as prophesied. And now people, we kind of have a tough time in America right now because a lot of folks don't read the Bible. And so they say, where's the hope? Well, the hope is the return of Christ, which I've been saying for 3 consecutive years, and perhaps I should have been saying it longer. I'm sorry I'm late to the game, but the Bible actually tells you how it's going to unfold. So I want to fire off the Bible verses real quick so that way everybody out there who has a sound mind can maybe reject me as a person. You don't like the way I speak. Maybe you think I speak too fast, too slow, whatever. You don't like me. You think I should look at the camera more and not look at my notes. That's fine. But I'm going to read this to you. Here are the Bible verses, okay? Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5 through 6. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5 through 6. It prophesied biblical Persia, aka Iran, biblical Ethiopia, that's still Ethiopia, biblical Libya, that's Libya, biblical Gomer, that's Turkey, and all teaming up against Israel. That's Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5 through 6. Isaiah chapter 17, verse 1. Isaiah chapter 17, verse 1 prophesied there would be the destruction of Damascus before the return of Christ. Did you know, folks, that all the weapons are being moved into Damascus, Syria right now, and that Israel has began shifting its focus to go after Damascus, Syria, which the Bible said has to be destroyed before Christ's return? Do you know that Hamas is referenced in Genesis chapter 6? God said the earth was filled with Hamas, therefore he flooded it, as in the days of Noah. Think about it. In the days of Noah, the earth was filled with Hamas. The Hebrew word for violence and destruction, wickedness, that is Hamas, okay? Matthew chapter 24, verse 37 tells you that it will be like as in the days of Noah before Christ's return. There we go. Mark chapter 13 tells you all the things that have to happen before Christ's return. Luke chapter 21, Matthew chapter 24, they all tell us the things that have to happen before Christ's return. Amos chapter 1, verse 7 says that Gaza has to be destroyed before Christ's return. Amos chapter 1, verse 7. And finally, Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 4 tells us that that Gaza has to be destroyed before Christ's return. These are all things that are prophetic. They're not shocking to God, but most pastors will not talk about these subjects, and most politicians will not talk about these subjects, and most doctors will not talk about these subjects, and most podcast hosts will not talk about this subject, and most entrepreneurs won't talk about this subject. I want people to know this. In the last couple of years, have found there are so many people that don't ever want to talk about anything except for the NBA. What do you guys think about the NBA? Fantasy draft. You guys, who you going? Tom Brady. You think he's gonna? Gronkowski. No. This guy's the new Tom Brady. This guy's the new. Oh, what do you think about the Chiefs? Oh, Taylor Swift. Oh, Disney. You guys want to go there? Oh, I love Disney. You love Disney. I love Disney. Wow, unbelievable. Let's talk about Taylor Swift. And then their whole life revolves around Taylor Swift, professional sports, and Disney. I'm not kidding. And then they go, dude, there's a new Marvel movie that's coming out. Have you guys seen the NHL? Nobody has any idea what's going on because they're so perpetually.
Or do they know what's going on? But you know what, Clay? I'm going to say this. There are some that will definitely talk about you and many others. Because this is the work we're doing is from the ground up. We're going to continue to fight. And so when you talk about all the nonsense of media, all the things that are going on, you touch into Israel, and I know we don't have a lot of time with you today. I want to get into it right now. You gave a great background of why this is a prophecy, why we know this is coming from the Bible. What is your opinion going out 6 months? Give me some thoughts. You've got a deep thinking mind.
Yeah.
Tell me What do you think?
And I apologize if I frustrate anybody for doing this. I don't have an
Don't apologize. There's a no apology rule here. Anything said.
Well, I'm just saying, my wonderful wife will often ask me, what's your opinion of this? I don't really do opinions. I just do facts. So I'm just going to hit the facts. We know that Colonel Douglas McGregor did an epic interview yesterday with Tucker Carlson. And he said, I'm quoting, "We are not in a strong position. We are probably at our weakest point in recent history militarily. We have no real army anymore." I repeat, he says, "We are not in a strong military position. We are probably at our weakest point in recent history. We have no real army anymore." So that's sort of a recipe for disaster, because America, I just so we're clear, the Bible in Genesis chapter 12 instructs us as Christians to support Israel, which I do. So we're supporting Israel. We stand with Israel. What does that mean? We pray for Israel. We support them. Well, we've moved U.S. warships into range of Russian Air Force now. So we moved to support Israel, we moved our warships into place, aircraft carriers, et cetera. And now Russia, Putin just announced, hey, just so you guys know, you are now within range of my military. This is what Putin is saying. Putin is saying we are now within range of his military. So I don't know exactly what that means in terms of the timeline, but I know that Putin is not joking. He announced the other day, he says that he's ordered 2 permanent patrols of MiG-31 fighters armed with hypersonic missiles to fly over the Black Sea and patrol the region. Xi and China, think about this, Xi and China and Putin, Putin and Xi, they just teamed up to announce they have like this unending support for each other. Their militaries are teaming up together. Their economies are teaming up together. So I would say it seems logical to see that the war between Israel and Hamas, it seems as though that is expanding to be a regional war. And at some point when you get, then I would think it'd be logical for Russia to then respond. It would seem that China would respond, because China invited the head of Palestine out to China in June. So in June, the head of Palestine was invited by China to visit, where they celebrated Palestine and said that they support them, basically financially and militarily. So it would seem to me as though there'll be a regional escalation. It would seem to me as though you're going to see Israel continue expanding its attacks on Damascus, where all the weapons are being housed. It would appear from the north that Lebanon and Hezbollah will get more involved. Hezbollah is sort of a proxy army of Iran, so it appears as though Iran may get involved. And so I think little by little, piece by piece, you're going to start to see an expansion of that war. And that's not really my opinion. It just seems to be that's if you follow the thinking and the statements. And it appears as though there's a lot of war hawkish people out there that sort of are saying things that would seem to indicate, like Lindsey Graham seems to be all of a sudden like this trash talking prize fighter who seems
he's
to
a character. I'm sorry, Clay. He's a character. I mean, he goes wishy-washy. He's a tuna fish.
He's saying things that indicates that he wants to go after Iran's oil supply.
Yeah.
So whoa.
Why? What is he trying to set other issues up for us in this world? I mean, it sounds really strategic, right? I saw that yesterday too. Listen, when you look at this entire Middle East issue, what's the impact right now going to be on the economy? And let's say that, just stick with the economy. What's that going to do to us here?
Oil's going to go up. I mean, if anybody out there doesn't know, the price of oil is going to go up dramatically. I mean, Joe Biden has essentially stopped us from being able to procure fossil fuels from our own territory. I mean, the United States is rich in what's called black gold or oil. We have incredible oil supplies and oil reserves, and he's limited dramatically our ability to take oil out of the earth and to refine it. Also, he's been tapping into our oil reserves, which are supposed to be used for a wartime situation to artificially lower fuel prices. So all I could say is we are going to look at, there'll be 3 attacks simultaneously. You're going to see the attacks on our health, an attack on our wealth, and an attack on the ability to share truth. And so you're starting to see the United Nations is beginning to say out loud. You're starting to see the World Health Organization talk about it out loud. You're seeing the World Economic Forum talk about it out loud, that there needs to be an increased amount of censorship. So that's where we're headed right now. And I'm sorry I don't have any good news for anybody out there, but I can tell you that the Bible, Mark chapter 13, Matthew chapter 24, and Luke chapter 21, they all tell us that there will be wars, This is Jesus talking. I'm paraphrasing, but Jesus says there's going to be wars, rumors of wars, famines, pestilences, neighbor rising against neighbors. And because iniquity shall abound, the love for one another won't really be there. There's going to be violence everywhere. And then all these things are going to happen so that we know that God is on his way back, that Jesus is on his way for his return is kind of the idea. So I would encourage everybody out there to read Mark chapter 13, Luke chapter 21, and Matthew chapter 24. And I would encourage you to get right with Jesus and read what the Bible has to say about it. Don't listen to what I have to say about it. And then calls to action for everybody. One, if you go to timetofreeamerica.com, you can watch the documentary for free tonight featuring General Flynn, Mike Lindell, Pastor Archer Pulowski. You can watch it for free at timetofreeamerica.com. Second, is if you want to get your tickets for the ReAwaken America tour, we're going to Tulare, California on December 15th and 16th. So December 15th and 16th. So Eric Trump, Kash Patel, General Flynn, Mike Lindell, Team America. I mean, they're all going to be there. It's going to be a blasty blast. Laura Trump will be there. Simone Gold. I can go on listing off Jim Brewer, the comedian, 70 plus speakers over 2 days. And you can always name your price. Okay. So you can go to timetofreeamerica.com. You can name your price. The mainstream media has had a hard time with that idea. I've been told by the Rolling Stone, it said that Clay Clark has bitten off more than he can chew because I lose money on these events. But you can name your price. You just go there, timetofreeamerica.com. You have to request a ticket. You can't buy them online. We do have a little bit of a vetting process. It should take you about 90 seconds to vet you, get you all taken care of. And we have a do not sell list. So we want to make sure that we keep these events safe and positive. It's December 15th and 16th, timetofreeamerica.com. And then finally, I recommend, and I don't know if you have a precious metals dealer that you recommend on your program, but we're
supposed to talk to you about that, actually, Clay. We've been waiting for that conversation.
Okay, and I'll be happy to talk to you. I have bought for years from a company called Beverly Hills Precious Metals.
Sure.
And they do a good job. But no matter who you buy precious metals from, you really have to understand that Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they're all hoarding the Earth's gold in preparation to introduce a gold-backed currency. So you don't want to have paper when there's a gold-backed currency that's the predominant currency. You just don't want to be holding paper at that time. So I would recommend you schedule a consultation with BH-PM. That's Beverly Hills Precious Metals, BH-PM.com. Just schedule a consultation. I've also bought a lot of precious metals from a company called Goldline over the years. Goldline, they do a good job as well. So that'd be my recommendations.
Very good, very good. So, Clay, listen, you covered pretty much the topics of the news that are most impactful. Obviously, Israel is the biggest deal going on in the world right now. The history of this whole system going into the directions it's going, and this world power, this one world power, scary stuff. But the ReAwaken tour you talked about, this is going to be December, you said 15th and 16th, I think you said. Is that correct?
Yeah, December 15th and 16th. Everybody out there who wants to know the future of the tour, we're basically going to the White House or the gulags, so we're going to do, looks like 3 more leading up to the election, but that'll be it. This isn't something I wanted to I don't know why I'm not motivated by hosting events where I lose copious amounts of money and then take endless hit pieces, but I'm doing this to save our country, and that's why all the speakers are doing it. And so we're being very strategic to have these final 3 events leading up into the election, and we just want to get the truth out there so that when it comes time to vote, if there is a fair election or an election at all, that people will at least know the issues and where President Donald J. Trump stands on those issues versus where Joe Biden stands on those issues.
100% right there. Listen, please stay because I have some things that we want to talk to you about, some of the tours we're scheduling for 2024. We're making big announcements on. Clay Clark, go and check him out today. Make sure you're going to pay attention. If you want to go to a really amazing show, folks, I went to the show down in Miami, the ReAwaken deal. I'm going to tell you, it was like being on like Tony Robbins' stage, getting pumped up from the start to the finish. Thank you so much, Clay. And you'll come back on again, right, real soon?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate you.
You got it. Hang around. I'll be right back.